Well, today is day one of the transplant process, and I want to take a minute and fill you guys in on what today looked like, what the next few months or few weeks are going to look like, and just the whole transplant process overall. So today I got admitted to the hospital, got my central line placed, which is just easier access to my bloodstream. I have these two lumens right here, two ports that they can access, and give me whatever medications and also the stem cells through that. And then, yeah, nothing else today really. Tomorrow I start the conditioning, they call it, which is going to be radiation. I'm not very excited about that, but it is what it is. So that's going to go on for a few days and some more chemo, and then I get the cells early next week. So yeah, it all happens pretty quick. But basically what transplant or stem cell, some people call it bone marrow transplant, is exactly what it sounds like. You're taking stem cells from another person and transplanting that into the patient. So I'm receiving stem cells from someone unknown. Maybe I was a perfect match with them somehow. They go like out of 12 somehow parameters. I don't know too much about it, but I was a 12 out of 12 match, which is great. And the person is 18 years old, so I'm getting some fresh stem cells. We'll see if I feel 18 after this. I don't know. But the goal with that is to create, how do I say it in the most simplest way, is to kind of reset the body, give it a new, I guess, immune system and new bone marrow. So with it being leukemia that I've dealt with, it's a bone marrow, it's a blood cancer. So essentially it starts in your bone marrow. Your bone marrow malfunctions and starts producing a bunch of extra cells. So it is a bone marrow issue. So if you replace the bone marrow, it's supposedly going to fix that. And it's worked for a lot of people, and seems like they have a pretty good system set up with it, and it seems like people recover well from it. So yeah, it's a bit of a process for sure. Like I was saying earlier, you have to go through some conditioning or like some prep. So basically the goal with the prep is to wipe out your existing bone marrow, your existing stem cells, so that way you don't have interaction between your own and the donor cells. And if that happens, then they just start fighting against each other, and it's not good. So the conditioning that they put me on is 3 days of radiation, full body, and that's gonna kill off all the stem cells I have, all the bone marrow I have. And at that point, I would not be able to recover at all unless I had donor cells. So it's pretty extreme. Given my age and my shape, they're giving me what they call a 10 out of 10 conditioning, which is the most aggressive type of conditioning, and also gives me the best chance of survival. It's also very harsh. I'm going to be completely wiped out. And following those 3 days of radiation, I'll do 2 days of chemotherapy. That's, again, trying to do the same thing, wipe out stem cells and existing bone marrow. And then I have a day of rest on Monday. And then on Tuesday, the 23rd of January, that's when the new stem cells fly in. I don't know where they're coming from, somewhere in the States. So at that point, when I get the new stem cells, the body has to accept them, which is engraftment, they call it. So it'll kind of take hold in the body, hopefully within a few weeks, about 2 weeks, I think. And it starts producing its own cells, white cells, red cells, platelets, that kind of thing. And then it just takes a while to recover from that, and really get back to normal. I guess during this process, people have a lot of fatigue and some of the old cells may start to fight against the new cells, and that's a very common side effect. So hoping to avoid that with having a perfect match. And that's pretty much the process. It takes about 3 to 4 months, I would say, and you have to stay close to the clinic or stay close to the hospital during this time, so that way they can monitor your blood counts and make sure there's no rejection going on, anything like that. So they say 100 days. Once you get the cells, you have to stay around. So I have to stay here in Seattle, which is about 6 hours away from where we live, to stay here for 3 months, which really stinks. And I have to have a full-time caretaker the whole time. So yeah, it's gonna be a big process, but I think this kind of leads into the next thing I wanted to talk about, was why I decided to go this route. Is because I feel like I've exhausted every other option the last 5 years, and it seems to make sense now. The first time I was diagnosed, I did just traditional chemo, and that knocked it back, got into remission, and then just came back a couple years later. And then I went the natural route, same thing, it knocked it back. Was doing good for quite some time, and then it just creeped back in. So it seems like a bone marrow issue, and it just seemingly needs to be replaced. It's like, having a bad transmission in your car. You can keep throwing patch fixes at it, and it may work for a little bit, but eventually you're just going to need to change out the transmission. So that's kind of what I feel like is going on in this scenario, and I'm just hoping and praying that it works, and I'm going to do everything to make sure it goes smoothly. And yeah, it's a lot to sign up for, and that's also why I've kind of opted out of transplant in the past, is because it's such a arduous process, many months away from family and work and all that. So I'm glad I exhausted all the other options first, and then now we're at the point to where I can go full bore with this and be confident with it. So I think that's the best explanation I can give of what a stem cell transplant looks like. And yeah, it's gonna be a lot of fun once I'm through this, and I can look back and say that was just a short 4 or 5 months or whatever it's gonna be of my life that was able to give me many more years. So anyways, tomorrow start radiation. I'm kind of once I go through a few days, I might make another video and explain how that went, and I'll just continually give you guys updates and little glimpses into this whole deal. So let's bring it on.